Hello and welcome to World Talks here on TVP World. I'm your host, Marie Cato. Peace efforts are ramping up as the conflict in Ukraine hits the 5-year mark. Following trilateral talks this week with the US and Russia, the parties are already looking ahead to a summit in Abu Dhabi. But it's not all diplomacy. Hungary and Slovakia are now calling for a formal probe into pipeline damage nearby. For more on this, I'm joined by Rostyslav Khotin from Radio Free Europe's Ukrainian service. Hello, and thank you so much for being with us.
Hello, Marie.
So let's begin with this week's peace talks in Geneva and their outcome. What are your takeaways?
Takeaways are that things are remain the same, almost. Talks were quite productive, but Ukrainian-American delegation, they have consensus, but Russia is still not accepting the realistic, does not take a realistic approach. Russia is still insisting on Ukrainian armed forces withdrawal from the whole of Donetsk region, which is unacceptable, completely unacceptable for Ukraine. And there are still disagreements over the management and division of electricity from Zaporizhia nuclear power plant, the biggest nuclear station in Europe. So positions remain the same. They agreed to meet again in trilateral now after Ukrainian-American talks in Geneva. There will be at the beginning of March trilateral talks Ukraine, Russia, United States in Abu Dhabi. We'll see. But as President Zelensky said, and his representatives in Ukrainian delegation, the military component is agreed almost entirely, including security guarantees from America to Ukraine. But there are still political disagreements. So on military level, it's okay. But on political level, President Zelensky thinks that there might be need for trilateral summit between President Trump, President Zelensky, and President Putin. We'll see how it goes.
And what are Kyiv's hopes on that upcoming trilateral summit in Abu Dhabi in early March?
In early March, there will be no summit, but delegations, American, Ukrainian, and Russian delegations. It's interesting to see who will represent Russia. Was it again Vladimir Medinsky, former culture minister, who is kind of has a not very good reputation in Ukraine, because he's always brings to negotiations this kind of historical perspective. Who ran Kyiv 1,000 years ago, 500 years ago, and so on and so forth. This historical perspective only divert attention from the need to stop fighting, to stop bloodshed in Ukrainian war, which already lasted more than 4 years. So that's one thing. But after that meeting, we'll see. Zelensky is offering the idea of a trilateral summit between leaders, President Trump, President Zelensky, and President Putin. We'll see. Putin, in principle, may be not against, but in fact, he insists that Zelensky should come to Moscow. It will be humiliation for Zelensky. Why should the country which was attacked, why should the leader of this country will come to the attacker, to the capital of the attacker, to the city of Moscow? It's absolutely unacceptable for Ukraine. Also, venue Budapest as a venue for such summit is also unacceptable for Ukraine, taking into account the Hungarian Prime Minister's Viktor Orban's position on Ukrainian war. So we'll see. So far, my feeling is that Putin doesn't want to hold a trilateral summit with President Zelensky and President Trump.
But moving aside the issue of the actual location, let's just assume that the three leaders meet in Abu Dhabi. What do you think is the likelihood of a meeting between Zelensky and Putin, and what do you think we could expect to see of it?
Because the issues which remain unresolved are very of high political nature, a very politicized one, territorial issue, who should withdraw, who should not withdraw, and so on and so forth. And other territorial issues, the main sticking point now. Ukrainians do not think it will be fair to award President Putin of Russia diplomatically what he has not been able to achieve militarily on the battlefield. Why should Ukraine withdraw from the Donetsk region? Why? It's Ukrainian land. Russia for 4 years, more than 4 years, even from 2014 when the initial conflict in the Donbass started in 2014, Russia was unable to occupy the whole Donbass region and especially Donetsk region. Ukraine now controls about 24% of Donetsk region, Russia about two-thirds of it. But why should Ukraine withdraw, especially when there are the line of fortification from Slavyansk to Konstantinivka to Kramatorsk, fortified line of Ukrainian defense. If Ukraine withdraws from this area, it will immediately will make the whole central Ukraine easily achievable for Russian military advance, for Russian military attack. Ukraine doesn't want this. And why should Putin be avoided? Zelensky is insisting, and Americans actually share this Ukrainian approach. Let's draw the line where our troops are now. Let's stay where we are now. If Ukraine is to withdraw, then Russia also should withdraw on the same distance, like 20, 30 kilometers, and then demilitarized zone might be created. But unilateral withdrawal for Ukraine is absolutely politically unacceptable.
Now, I wanted to talk about the contentious Druzhba pipeline, which has been in the headlines this week. Before we get into the details, I wanted to hear a statement from Robert Fico, the Prime Minister of Slovakia. He had a conversation with President Zelensky earlier today.
This group should be composed of representatives from Slovakia and Hungary, but also representatives from the European Commission. And this inspection group should be allowed to visit the port of the Druzhba oil pipeline that President Zelensky claims is damaged, which has halted the transit of oil purchased by Slovnaft on the Belarusian-Ukrainian border in accordance with their contracts.
So tell us about the fact-finding mission that Prime Ministers Fico and Orban have called for. How might this impact the diplomatic crisis we are seeing develop right now?
The thing is that, indeed, Ukraine attacked Druzhba pipeline last year several times on territory of Russian Federation, in Tatarstan and other areas of Russia. But on the 27th of January this year, it was a Russian missile attack on the town, on the energy infrastructure of Druzhba oil pipeline in the town of Brody in the western Lviv region. And after this, the flow of oil, Russian oil through Druzhba to Slovakia and Hungary was stopped. And it was actually a Russian attack, not Ukrainian. But both Viktor Orban and Robert Fico insist that Ukraine is not in a hurry, is not rushing to repair the Druzhba pipeline, and they badly need this oil from Russia for their consumption, to their oil refineries, and so on and so forth. So there was a year during the telephone conversation between President Zelensky and Prime Minister Fico today that they will set up kind of also Hungary supports this kind of special mission to find out what's going on. And Ukraine says that it tries to repair this oil pipeline, but Ukraine is in a state of war. Every day Ukraine is bombarded by drones and missiles, and it's difficult to pay exclusive attention to Druzhba oil pipeline to serve interests of Slovakia and Hungary. And Ukraine offered another alternative route. From Odessa to Brody, there is pipeline built in early 2000 years. Ukraine offered this route, but also there is a possibility to import oil to Hungary and Slovakia from Croatia by Adria oil pipeline. But they want to import Russian oil and to give Russia money to Russian state budget for military purposes somehow.
Do you think that all this commotion and this diplomatic crisis that we see unraveling, do you think that this is something that Slovakia and Hungary want to move forward with in exchange for that lift on that 90 billion euro loan coming out of the EU now for Ukraine?
Yeah, Ukraine has been punished already by these countries where they blocked the dispersal of final approval of 90 billion euros package loan for 2026-2027 Slovakia and Hungary blocked the 20th package of EU sanctions against Russia, which was meant to be adopted on the precisely on the 4th anniversary of this full-scale invasion. They are threatening to stop export of electricity to Ukraine and so on and so forth. So there are already things which are not of a good nature, which are done to Ukraine, and Ukraine wants to repair this pipeline to stop this kind of blackmail from Slovakia and Hungary.
Now, Hungarian Prime Minister Viktor Orban also wrote an open letter to Volodymyr Zelensky, and he accused him of anti-Hungarian policies. Has Kyiv actually responded to this letter, or does it intend to respond to it?
There was only phone conversation between Zelensky and Slovak Prime Minister Fico, but not contact between Orban and Zelensky, although the invitation to visit Ukraine is there. Zelensky issued this invitation a long time ago, because it seems that Ukrainian issue, the whole issue of Ukrainian war, Russian war in Ukraine, is becoming matter of internal politics in Hungary before election, which are to be held on the 12th of April this year. We'll see, but it seems that Viktor Orban is trying to use Ukrainian war, Ukrainian dimension for his political purposes, to boost image of the brave leader who is only able to defend Hungarian security. He dispatched troops to guard energy installation in Hungary, as if Ukraine is about to send drones to attack Hungarian energy infrastructure. It's nonsense. It's a NATO country. Hungary is a NATO country, and Ukraine has other priorities now to defend itself against Russian missile and drone attacks. So it seems that Viktor Orban is using Ukrainian war, Ukrainian issue to block Ukrainian EU accession, first of all, and secondly, he uses this for political purposes before parliamentary election in Hungary in April.
Now, just as we wrap up, can you tell us about the situation in Pokrovsk? The deep state map shows the full control of the city by Russians. What is your assessment?
We don't know yet, because usually it's not for the first time that Russia claims of being able to take Pokrovsk. Then Ukrainian General Staff rejects this statement by Russian side. We'll see. Now the hottest, according to Ukrainian military information, the hottest direction is in Gulay-Pole, in Zaporizhia region. 20 battles happened in Gulay-Pole over the last 24 hours. So it's the hottest direction. But now also Pokrovsk region, Pokrovsk has been for many months the aim of Russian strategic advance in Donetsk, but Russians in Donetsk region, but Russians have been unable to take the town fully.
Okay, Rostyslav Khotin, senior editor at the Ukrainian Service and Radio Free Europe. Thank you so much for being with us.
Thank you, Marie.
And that's a wrap for World Talks. Thank you so much for being with us, and keep yourselves updated with TVP World. Goodbye.